All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about crooked mechanic shops, bad mechanics. There's some pretty bad actors out there. There's a lot of things you have to watch out for. So I would say have a short list here. We won't make this too long, and a short list here to things to look for when you're going to mechanic. So misdiagnosis is the biggest one. Whether they're doing it on purpose or they just don't take the time to figure out what the actual problem is. They put parts in your car, it does not fix the car, and the car comes back. You know, there's a lot of different variables to it. A lot of it too, I would say your most common issue for somebody taking your car to the shop is check engine light comes on, ABS light too, you know, some kind of warning light comes on. All right. You take it in, like, oh, it's this, or this. Well, most of the time the customer doesn't know. So if you don't have a mechanic you can trust or a shop that you can trust, they can pretty much tell you anything's wrong with it. I'm sure that happens a lot more than not. So don't let that happen. The best defense against that, buy yourself a scanner before you take it to the shop. Scan it yourself, see what it is. If you know what it is, you don't feel comfortable fixing it, take it to the shop. At least you know what the codes were. You know some idea of what's going to happen before you even go in there. If what they're telling you does not coincide with what your scanner says and it's something totally different and a lot more expensive, you want to be very, very leery of that for sure. Next one, the transmission light. A lot of people, a transmission light come on in their car and think, oh my God, this thing's done, needs a transmission. Take it to the shop, yep, needs a transmission. I don't know how many, especially the German cars, how many go in for a transmission replacement to get out of the shop and realize it has the same problem with both transmissions. The problem wasn't the transmission. That's a good one. It all goes back to being able to diagnose stuff. You know, there's batteries, alternator problems that cause that to come on. There's throttle body issues that cause the transmission light to come on. It could be something, even on some Toyota and BMW stuff, both. The timing advance system could cause the transmission light to come on. Lexus has that, what's that stupid SUV, that RX 300. That was notorious for the Vanos, basically the Vanos solenoid, but it's VVTi solenoid. That would go bad. It would make the car shake under acceleration and it kick the transmission light on. Brakes grinding, crazy expensive brake jobs. If you have enough know-how how to use a floor jack, some kind of jack, and you could get your wheel off, you could definitely replace the brakes yourself. There's a misconception out there about brakes. A lot of people say every time you replace the brake pads, you got to replace the rotors. I don't know whoever said that. That's not the case at all. We usually do it every other time. Depends on the car, depends on the rotors, there's a lot of variables to it. You know, a company like Midas or one of those brake companies, they'll hit you up for a couple $1,000s for Chinese brake parts that are garbage you didn't need in the first place. Gotta watch that, no doubt. The next one is wobbling in the front end. Whether it's a bad belt in your tire, you need some control arm work, you have tie rod issues, you have strut issues. Those issues are easily misdiagnosed and sometimes on purpose. Watch out for that. AC issues in the summertime. AC is not expensive to charge, no matter what they want you to believe. A lot of shops will charge you $300-400 to hook a machine up to it. I don't know what the going rate is a lot. I've seen some AC bills for a compressor and some Freon for a couple $1,000s. That stuff doesn't cost that much, not even close. Right now you could buy AC compressor cheaper than you ever could before. You know, and it's not as common that goes out. It could also be something in the control panel in the HVAC unit not turning the AC on. Many variables to it. It could be overcharged or undercharged. Simply screwing a AC can from Walmart on there is not sufficient though. You have to know what you're doing at least a little bit. All that stuff's easy to find on the internet. You could easily research that yourself, no problem at all. Easy to fix electrical issues made difficult. That's probably the number one right there. I have shops, people that work at shops tell me all the time, oh, BMW has so much electrical issues. Not really. They have a lot of people destroying things on them, or even water getting in modules causing problems like that. You know, your newer stuff has module issues. There we go. Again, though, usually just don't fail all at once. Usually there's a cause to that. Misdiagnosing electrical issues, especially on the German stuff, is probably the #1 thing. That's, I'm sure people waste thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars on that in America per year, all over the world. It's just a real issue. Next one is growling or grinding noise misdiagnosed. You know, whether it's front diff, if it's 4-wheel drive, front diff transfer case, rear-wheel drive, rear diff, CV axles, drive shaft stuff, transmission issues, or just a tire or just a wheel bearing. Those are always misdiagnosed. A lot of times a shop will go and replace many of those things all at once when they're not needed, just to make sure they get it the first time. Throw parts at it, parts and money, hope it fixes it, and that's it. Well, who catches hell on that's the customer. You know, I don't know, it's definitely an issue. And another big one is coolant leaks. Coolant leaks on some cars are very common. Some cars they're very not common. Absolutely not common whatsoever. Misdiagnosing those is easy because they run down other hoses, other wiring looms. I'm sure a lot of expansion tanks, a lot of intake manifold gaskets get replaced when they're not bad. There again, some of them knowing, some of them not knowing. Most of the time, unless your car has been severely neglected or you severely overheated it, it's never as bad as what you think it is. So yeah, there's just a few things to look for, guys. If you go in these mechanic shops too, they just seem shady. Don't go there. We all know those guys. We all seen those guys. You know, go in the place, look up on sites like Yelp, look up on the internet, do your research before you go to one of those places. So hopefully this helps. There's probably 1,000 more things to go over, but that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit, and watch yourself out there. There's a lot of bad people trying to get your money. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.